This is Mangala Prathaban Muralidharan talking about international business English. I'm talking about making presentations and the importance of making presentations in international context and understanding the nitty-gritties of learning business English. This particular Zoom session is all about understanding how to make use of various strategies to master business English. And we have talked about already in the last session various ways and means of making presentations. And today in this session, I'm interacting with Shakti Sri Saravanan about how to make presentations. Right, let's get into the session. We said recognize the talented. It's very important for us to get to know who is the talented person in our team, what is so special about that particular person's abilities to do certain tasks, what sort of tasks can be assigned for that particular person. That's very important for us to keep track of those talents and have a talent profile management system. For each person, we should have a specific management system of what talents do they possess, how do they make use of those talents in actualizing a specific task. And it's important for us to think about rewarding the team, because every team, remember, every team has got people who do really great things. So it's very important for us to reward the team, And it's important to think in terms of understanding. We'll have to also understand how this team works. How does this team works? We should also look at setting new benchmarks in communication. When we make communication, remember, as business leaders in communication, as motivators or enablers in a team, as people who have got specific target orientation, it's important for us to think in terms of what? Think in terms of setting new benchmarks. So anything that we do, we should set new benchmarks. If we don't create benchmarks, then it's very difficult for others to follow what we say or what we do. So in this case, setting new benchmarks is going to be useful for us to identify our own strengths in a team. Also, getting to know what are the loopholes in our team management, because communication has to create a trustworthy relationship. Your communication is a tool to create a relationship which is rewarding, which is enriching all the time in life. So we always say, if you are capable of fluency and proficiency in a language, remember, you will have to understand the other aspects of communication. So we'll have to assess the other person's receptivity, ability to understand the challenges, the positives and negatives of the other person. Only then we become great communicators. And here, in the international scenario, we will have to keep in mind that every company has a certain unwritten norms of communication. Every company has got a certain specific model of communication which is being practiced by everybody. So the code of communication of the company has to be understood, because in international business, the way we communicate with Japanese companies may not be the same as the way we communicate with the American companies, or for that matter, Chinese companies, or Italian companies, or the German companies. So we'll have to keep in mind, whom do we deal with? Okay, what kind of cross-cultural awareness do we have in making sure that we reach out to them? And how do we finalize a successful business deal? By talking to them in their own language. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we always ask people to master more than one language. At least they should have 2 or 3 foreign languages to communicate with their managers or people in those countries. Right. Simulate global business. Very important for us to simulate a global business. Why should we simulate global business? Remember, if we don't simulate the global brand, if we don't understand what is the scenario of business these days, what is the style of business these days, what sort of efficiency do they expect, do they really use any latest automation tools, then it's going to be very difficult for us to communicate. The time you take to communicate also matters. Your customer comes up with a grievance, calls you up. You could solve it within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If you're taking an hour, remember, in this competitive market environment, you might lose your client. Your client will choose another service provider. So efficiency of service is also determined by the time taken to communicate with the client, number one. Number two, do we do effective follow-up? Do we provide solution to the client? Are we sincere in providing solutions? Are our solutions reliable for people in different geographic conditions? Do we pacify angry clients or dissatisfied clients? All these are very important for us in terms of understanding communication. Let's just think of watching a video. We're going to watch a video at this moment to uh, talk about how to start a presentation and how to end a presentation. This is again a video of Cambridge. There's a video of Cambridge. So you're going to do this, going to watch this. Let's see what happens.
They say you need to have a good beginning, a good ending, and keep them close together. And sure enough, research shows that audiences remember the first and last few minutes of a presentation long after they've forgotten most of what was said in the middle. Psychologists call this the primacy-recency effect. But you might prefer to think of your opener and your close as two bookends holding up your talk. To do their job, they both need to be strong. Now, starting off by saying good morning, introducing yourself, thanking your audience for coming, apologizing for a small technical problem with your audio visuals, and asking if people can hear you at the back is clearly not a strong opening. But neither is this.
I want to talk to you today about the kind of world we, in the business community, are passing on to the next generation.
What's wrong with it? It's short, direct, and boring. Let's see how it might have sounded.
Environmental degradation, a declining economy, crippling taxes, chronic diseases, a life expectancy shorter than that of their parents, and $30,000 of debt for every man, woman, and child. This is the nightmare world we're passing on to our kids.
Now that's a good opening. Watch how these presenters gain their audience's attention right at the start.
Good morning. Sometime in the early 1980s, a business traveler called a low-cost carrier called People Express to reserve a flight. He was kept on hold for so long, he thought to himself, either this airline is incredibly busy or incredibly inefficient. Needless to say, the flight was never booked, and People Express went out of business in 1987.
Okay. So what do we understand out of this?
The name of the business traveler was Richard Branson, who, recognizing a great business opportunity when he saw it, went on to launch Virgin Atlantic Airlines. And the rest, of course, is history. But my question to you is, just how bad does your customer service have to be to turn a potential client into a competitor?
There was a great book published a few years back called The Wisdom of Crowds by James Surowiecki. In it, he refers to the popular TV quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which I'm sure you've all seen. As you may know, contestants can get help with questions they can't answer by either phoning a friend or asking the audience. As you might expect, calling an intelligent friend helps, 65% of the time, in fact. But here's the interesting thing. The studio audience isn't selected on the basis of their intelligence. So how often do you think they're able to answer the question correctly? The answer is 91% of the time. Statistically, that's just amazing, and it proves the power of teams.
I want to say a few things about winning. Did you know that in all the major golf tournaments of the last 25 years, the margin of victory has been less than 3 strokes? In Formula One motor racing so far this season, the average time difference between first and second place has been just over 7.5 seconds. And remember last Summer Olympics? In the men's 100 meters butterfly, the American swimmer won by 1/100th of a second. 1/100th. It was so close that the Serbian team who won silver even filed a protest. These days, in business as in sport, the difference between winning and losing is practically zero. But not quite. In every case, the winner has that vital edge. The figures I'm going to show you this afternoon demonstrate that we too have that marginal but vital edge.
From your audience's point of view, the end of your talk might be even more important than the beginning. These are the words they will be left with after you stop. If you've ever been to a firework display, you'll know that the biggest, brightest fireworks are usually saved for the end. This doesn't mean you have to finish with a bang, but you do want to leave a lasting impression. Watch these presenters clinch the close.
To summarize, whenever we have offered bonuses to incentivize our staff in sales, HR, and manufacturing divisions, productivity has increased, in some cases quite dramatically. But as we saw in R&D, introducing pay by performance has had precisely the opposite effect. Incentivized research units were on average only half as productive as those working without added incentives. What are we to make of this? Well, quite simply, it seems bonuses really do make you work harder when your job is pretty routine. But when your job is creative, incentives just stress you out and actually make you less creative, not more. Clearly, we all need to go away and think of a fresh initiative for motivating our most mission-critical employees. Thanks a lot.
As you know, it's a tradition in Asia to quote words of wisdom, so I'm going to be totally predictable and do the same. An ancient philosopher once said, "A man who chases two rabbits catches neither." In our research, we've been chasing too many rabbits for far too long. It's time to stop, to prioritize. If there's one thing we now need to do, in a word, it's this: focus. Thank you very much. At the preparation stage, a lot of presenters like to create their close first, so they know where they're going, and then work backwards, finishing up with an attention-grabbing opening. But whichever way you plan your talk, make sure you always give priority to the first and last 3 minutes.
Okay. So, what did we understand out of it? What did we get to know?
Sir, are you asking with me?
Yes.
Sir, it's about how do we start the presentation
One, one
and
second.
end the presentation.
Yeah. What did we understand out of it?
Sir, it's about how to start the presentation and how to end the presentation.
Okay.
How to impress with the people.
Okay.
How to impress them.
Okay. Then,
Sir, this is what I understood, sir.
this is what I understood, sir. Okay, sir. So it's the way you interact with people, what are they talking about, the way you interact with people, how you organize your
Yes.
flow of thoughts. Am I right? They talk about
Okay.
how
Yes.
do you make a presentation effective right at the beginning. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So how do you make a presentation effective right at the beginning? You learn
Okay,
to
sir.
start
Okay, sir.
with an impressive list of objectives. At the same time, you should know how to
Okay.
attract the attention of the audience. Unless
Okay,
we
sir.
connect with them, we throw them a question,
Okay.
we have a direct eye contact with them, we smile at them,
Okay, sir.
we have to have an informal way of opening a presentation or a talk, then it's not going to be very effective presentation at all because we cannot attract the audience. That means they're not going to pay attention to us. So they'll have to pay
Okay, sir.
attention, speak. Am I right? If they do not pay
Yes.
attention, then it's going to be very difficult for us to uh, present our ideas and make them realize or understand whatever we say. So the way
Okay,
we
sir.
make a point right at the
Okay, sir.
beginning matters a lot. Hence, we
Okay, sir.
should have a very clear idea of what? A
Okay.
very clear idea of making use of the flow of thoughts we have. So whatever be the
Okay,
flow
sir.
of thoughts, we should write them down, or we should have
Okay, sir.
noted down, or typed it out,
Okay, sir.
or we have
Okay, sir.
recorded and kept in the audio file. The moment
Okay,
we
sir.
start speaking, those thoughts
Okay,
will
sir.
automatically flow, and we should know
Okay,
how
sir.
to synergize our thoughts
Okay, sir.
and words with the correct pictorial representation, even the right tone, right?
Okay,
The
sir.
way we dress up,
Okay, sir.
the very appearance of us,
Okay,
everything
sir.
matters. Everything matters. The
Okay.
lighting, the podium, the mic, the quality
Okay,
of
sir.
audio, the quality of
Okay, sir.
video you play. So
Okay, sir.
everything matters in a presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you should have your own strategic innovations in your
Okay,
business
sir.
communication.
Okay, sir.
Right. You people should not possibly say, oh, this is the same as it was. They should not say that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that's very important for you to say, hey, this presentation is all about the way in which we operate a company. For example, you decide to make a presentation on how to increase productivity and how to make operations quite efficient. Then remember, the way you
Okay, sir.
start your presentation
Okay,
has to have very specific examples, localized examples, customized examples,
okay,
accessible
okay,
examples. So
okay, sir.
all that we communicate has to be relevant to the customer or a client or the target audience
Oh,
for them to understand, for them to make
okay, sir.
use of. Okay. The next
Okay,
is
sir.
we have to systematize our business. And we have to,
Okay.
what do I mean by systematize?
To make the proper system in the business format, sir.
That's right. So if I have to say, for example, when do we become very systematic people? We have to have our own
Okay.
work diary,
Okay, sir.
or we have to write down our daily routine.
Okay, sir.
I say I wake up by 5:05,
Okay, sir.
so I'll have to finish my ablutions by 6.
Okay, sir.
I should take bath by before 6, and I have to have my coffee or tea at 6:05.
Okay, sir.
I should plan my day by writing down what am I going to do by 6:15, 6:20.
Okay, sir.
And then I should look at uh, what are the other things that I have to do.
Okay, sir.
What are the other things that I have to do
Okay, sir.
before I start, etc. So I should have a very clear idea of how do I go about it. How do I go
Okay.
about it? The next one
Okay.
is establish your customer relationship. Establish your customer
Customer.
relationship.
Okay, sir.
Customer relationship. The way you relate with others matters a lot.
Okay, sir.
So you should have a very clear way of talking to people building a trustworthy relationship, helping
Okay,
them to have a kind of an easy win-win relationship through your communication.
okay, sir.
So look at their emotions. For example, if somebody is sad, then we should know that fellow is sad, then we'll have to energize that person.
Okay, sir.
Somebody is quite cheerful, then we should share the delight.
Okay,
We should celebrate it together. So that's kind of
okay,
you know, the way you devise your own strategies to communicate with people matters a lot.
okay,
Right. Now,
okay,
let's go to the next one. Okay. Do you see the slide?
yes, sir, I
Master
can
new
see.
things. Yeah, master new things. That is, step up your efforts. So every day you will have
Okay,
to
sir.
step up your efforts to master new
Yes, sir.
avenues in communication, new avenues in
Okay,
business, new avenues in your own knowledge sphere or a
okay,
skill realm, whatever it is. So wherever,
okay,
like
sir.
you, wherever you are, whatever you do, step up your efforts in a particular direction. You have to set
Yes,
new
sir.
targets. You have to go through
Okay,
new realm
okay,
of knowledge, understand, gather ideas, consult people,
okay,
get to know several things,
okay, sir.
and try to do better.
Okay,
Try to do better. That's very important for us. And if we
okay,
don't
sir.
set targets, then we don't proceed further. We have to set new targets every day.
Okay, sir.
Say for example, every day I've decided to make one presentation, one a set of PPT is ready. At least
Okay,
in
sir.
a week, I'll have to make say around 50 to 60 slides, at least five
Okay,
or
sir.
six presentations. So
Okay,
as
sir.
and when somebody comes to learn something on business collocations or on business
Okay, sir.
conversation or a business, cross-cultural awareness in business,
Okay, sir.
varieties of formats of business can be shared.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I'll have to identify audios, videos, PPTs, slides. I have to make my own slides. I have to ensure I develop my own PDF files. I develop my own
Okay, sir.
handouts.
Okay,
Right.
sir.
So everything matters a lot for us. So
Okay, sir.
in business environment, you'll have to set new targets. You have to motivate people and motivate
Yes, sir.
yourself. And you have to
Okay, sir.
keep
And keep.
inventing. You have to keep inventing.
Okay,
Because you
okay, sir.
cannot go by what others
Okay,
say. You should keep on
oh,
inventing on your own. That's very important for you.
okay, sir.
Right. So let's move on to the next one. The next one is be an exemplar of communication.
Okay, sir.
Right. When I say be an exemplar of communication, what I mean is
Okay.
you'll have to simply you have to ensure,
Simplify.
yeah, you have to simplify your communication. For one,
Okay,
it means you'll have to know how communication can be easily reached with all that you say.
okay, okay, sir.
That's why we say make it very simple, precise, exact.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So any communication for that matter, any
Okay,
communication for that matter, has to be based on certain important inputs. What are those inputs? So what are those inputs? First, you will have to use simple syntax. Plain
okay, sir.
English should be made up of plain English. Okay. So if
Okay,
it
sir.
is suppose you're working in a company, then you'll have to use meta language,
Okay, sir.
meta language of the company, of the
Sir, meta
domain,
language.
specialist vocabulary. It is
Okay, sir.
specialist vocabulary known to your circle,
Okay, sir.
known to your circle.
Yes, sir.
So your circle, whatever be the circle, if it is known, then you'll have to use the meta language
Okay,
of the domain. Very important.
okay.
Meta language of the domain. Simple syntax, plain English, use meta
Sir,
language of the
simple
domain.
syntax. Is-
Simple syntax is simple sentence structures.
Okay, sir.
Simple sentence structures.
Check.
So
Okay,
We are not supposed to do not use very complex structures. You know,
okay,
do
sir.
not use complex or compound structures
Okay, sir.
to your, to your employees, to your junior
Okay,
employees.
okay,
Okay, so business is all about how to succeed in communication, how to influence the other person, right?
okay,
So your communication has to be what? So you should know what is the objective of your business
okay,
communication.
okay, sir.
Your business communication, right? That is why we say if you're going to talk to a fellow who does not know English, he knows only Japanese. I would say
Okay,
learn Japanese and talk to the person.
okay, sir.
You're dealing with a company in Germany, then learn
Okay, sir.
German language and communicate with them. Okay?
Okay, sir.
So learn to build a rapport with whom? With your client.
Okay, sir.
With your client. Use the language, the native language, native language of the client.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So we, in addition to it, create a network among
Okay, sir.
other associates.
Okay,
Other
sir.
associates. Like say, for example, you're going to talk to a client who is living in Japan, then try to see how
Okay,
that particular client could be easily influenced.
okay, sir.
Okay, so create a
Okay,
network among other associates. And what else
okay,
can
sir.
we do? We can also think in terms of what? We can also think in terms of understanding the format of communication.
Okay, sir.
Right. There are various forms of discourse. Various forms of
Discord.
discourse. So look at the style of your communication. Again, it's very important. I told you the way we played a video just now before. In that we had
Yes,
more than 6 people presenting their ideas. Only 2 of them were very effective.
yes, sir.
Right. So the style of communication matters a lot. We'll have to see how do they begin, learn to begin
Okay, sir.
effectively.
Okay, sir.
Effectively. Right. Learn to understand
Okay, sir.
the uh, you know the nitty-gritties of
Sir,
you know,
integrities means.
basics,
Basics.
providing
Okay, sir.
examples. So you'll have to say
Okay,
what sort of examples are we providing? Are they relevant,
okay, sir.
etc. Look at all that. Are they relevant? Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you have to simplify it. Simplify it. I'm going to play another video right away, and
Okay, sir.
this video again is all about decision making in international companies. Decision making
Okay, sir.
in international companies, and
Okay.
how do we
Okay, sir.
learn that? How do we learn
Okay,
that? Look at this very
okay,
carefully.
sir.
It's about decision making
Okay,
in
sir.
international companies.
PSF is an international company operating worldwide. It's recently started a new project which will introduce a single standardized software package across its organization, replacing the different softwares used by countries at the moment. Rachel is the project leader, with Lucas and Gabriella in her team, supported by Eric, who's an external consultant. People take decisions at work in very different ways. For example, some people like to take time to collect and analyze data, perhaps involve a lot of people before deciding what to do. They don't like mistakes. And here, a decision can really be a decision, binding, final, no going back. Others want to do things quickly.
they may be expecting independence to take decisions alone. They don't care if they get things wrong because they know they can put things right in the future. So here a decision is kind of, yeah, let's get going and see what happens and then be flexible. These very different attitudes to decision making are sometimes cultural, sometimes a question of personality, and sometimes simply because people have different priorities in their jobs. Understanding that there are alternative approaches is essential because different expectations can cause serious misunderstanding, frustration, wasted time and money as people fight and argue with each other, and all this creates inefficiency. We need to find ways to deal with this. Let's take a look at the team as it tries to take a decision about the right time to move from phase 1 to phase 2 of the project.
So far, technical tests have produced very positive results, so we think that it would be a good idea to implement phase 2 at this point. And Lucas has suggested that he can do this in his region immediately. Lucas, that's right. Yes, absolutely. We're very happy to move forward as quickly as possible.
Wait. Hold on. I wasn't aware of any tests. How many users have been tested so far? I'm just thinking about our own people using this.
Decided we will do the user feedback in detail in phase 2.
No, hang on. If you haven't done any user testing beforehand, how do you know you're rolling out the right product? We have to involve our customers right from the beginning, get their feedback in early, or they're not going to feel involved.
But we are going to do the necessary user testing in phase 2. I don't see a problem in this. This project is all about the company saving money. If we start delaying on decisions like this, we will not hit our deadlines and we will start overrunning on budget.
That makes absolutely no sense.
I agree with Gabriella. Look, this is a high-profile project. We need to think of quality at every stage. And anyway, Lucas, we're going to need to get the agreement of the sponsor before moving from phase 1 to 2. That's going to take time. We need to be clearer about this and clarify the decision-making process for everybody.
But this is really going to slow things down. In my region, management was expecting to move much quicker.
So, different styles of decision making. Lucas and Eric like speed. They want a decision now. Well, for Lucas, it could be personality. He likes to do things fast, but he also says he's under pressure from people in his own country. And that's very important. We should never forget that when we work with colleagues based in other countries, they have local needs and may have a local boss creating pressure for certain kinds of decisions. Gabriella, well, her decision style is driven by the customer. So she talks about taking time, focusing on quality and involvement. Less about speed, more about discussion and consensus to get the right decision for the customer. And Rachel, well, she knows the politics of decision making at the headquarters. And in big projects, decisions can take a long time. It can be political, getting all stakeholders on board and in agreement. Not easy. And Eric, well, I think he's just confused. The result: people aren't listening to each other. They're defending their own points of view, and teamwork is becoming difficult.
All right. So, what did we understand out of it? We understand two, three things. One is it's very difficult. It's very difficult for them to ensure that working on a specific project, that we will have to keep in mind that everyone has an opinion. Am I right? So when
Yes,
we, yeah. So whenever we do
different
anything,
opinions.
yeah, and whenever we do anything, what we have to remember is there is opinion of everybody in the team. everyone in a team matters.
Yes.
Matters a lot. Okay, matters a lot. That's one thing. Number two, we should we should consult every stakeholder. Every stakeholder. Okay,
Okay.
that should be what you call as
Okay, sir.
participative management.
Okay,
The
sir.
policy must be participative management. It should not be dictatorial.
Okay, sir.
Avoid avoid one-upmanship. One-upmanship. That is no.
Sir, one upmanship
That
means.
is the kind of a military style.
Okay, sir.
Military style, or you call it
Okay, sir.
dictatorial. Dictatorial management.
Okay, sir.
Management. Or authoritarian. Authoritarian management.
Okay, sir.
So that will never work out, right?
Okay, sir.
So they're all educated, highly qualified people,
Yes,
taking
sir.
care of different departments, very well disciplined,
Okay.
highly respected people, people with a lot
Okay,
of
sir.
expertise,
Okay, sir.
experience, knowledge. So we should
Okay,
make
sir.
use of all this. We'll have to ask them, consult them, and we should
Okay, sir.
create a roadmap. We should create
Okay,
a
sir.
roadmap by talking to people,
Okay,
by
sir.
talking to others, understanding them,
Okay, sir.
understanding their needs,
Okay, sir.
understanding their needs. Yeah. So see, it is very when we say we cannot do authoritarian management, that means we do
Okay,
not
sir.
we stop talking to them by understanding their needs. We should understand their needs, understand their challenges. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So remember, any change,
Okay.
whatever change we propose, if we are going to propose a change,
Okay, sir.
any whenever we propose a change, we should remember change will be
Okay, sir.
resisted. Change will be resisted by people. People
Okay,
may
sir.
not like it. They may not be
Okay,
ready
sir.
to transform
Accept.
themselves.
Okay, sir.
So there must be some sort of an incubation time for a
Okay, sir.
change. For a
Okay, sir.
change. That's why we say transition management is important.
So
Transition
transition management
management.
means.
Transition management is, say, suppose you are working in a particular team,
Okay,
you
sir.
are working in a marketing team, suddenly you are taken to brand promotion
Okay,
or
sir.
a brand building team.
Okay, sir.
So you are taken, your skill, that's why they do skill profiling.
Okay, sir.
They do some sort of a skill profiling, that they tracking, keep
Okay,
track
sir.
of your skills,
Okay, sir.
your new competencies,
Okay, sir.
right? Your
Okay.
learning, what you call as, we also look at your learning process,
Okay,
or
sir.
learning process or progress, whatever it is.
Okay,
Process
sir.
and progress, both they will look at. Whether
Okay,
you
sir.
have acquired new, competencies or new skills,
Okay, sir.
okay?
Okay, sir.
Do you have new, like for example, somebody who is working in
Okay,
a
sir.
company may
Okay,
have
sir.
come up with innovative solutions.
Okay, sir.
For example, Sundar Pichai. Take Sundar
Yes.
Pichai. Sundar Pichai, what is so good about Sundar Pichai? He was the one who proposed Chrome, a
Okay,
new
sir.
browser, a new
Okay.
browser
Browser.
for Google.
Okay, sir.
So hence Google has gone to a uh, you know, new domain of business.
Okay, sir.
It has increased its income.
Okay, sir.
Its income because of his proposal.
Okay, sir.
Its expansion became really global.
Okay, sir.
Global. So we'll have to see what happened to the introduction of this new browser.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so how did Google get into, for example, how did they do SoundCloud? For example, they did introduce a SoundCloud, a new podcasting platform,
Okay,
a
sir.
new podcasting podcasting platform.
Okay, sir.
Right. So they have come up with Blogger, for example, for bloggers.
Okay, sir.
Right. They have, you can go to Google Labs and look at all the new products they've launched.
Okay, sir. Okay,
New
sir.
products, new products launched. Okay. So it's very
Oh,
important for us to see innovation in business is extremely important for us.
okay, sir.
Okay, that's how we learn a lot of things when we make a presentation. So whenever we make a presentation,
Okay, sir.
we should have a good beginning. So in any
Okay, sir.
presentation, beginning is very, very important. As I
Important.
told you, there's also ending is very important,
Okay, sir.
right? And then what
The way,
else? Yeah,
so the vocabularies we choose and
that's right.
interaction with.
That's right. Connecting with the audience. Very, very. This is what you need to have. You should connect with the audience. Ask them questions.
Okay, sir.
Help
Okay,
them to
sir.
get clarified. When you make
Okay, sir.
decisions, involve them in the decision making process.
Okay.
You know, involve people, involve
Okay, sir.
your team in the
Okay, sir.
decision making process.
Okay, sir.
Decision making process. So everything is important.
Okay, sir.
Everything is important. Only then we learn to communicate effectively
Okay, sir.
in the international
Okay,
business
sir.
context. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I'm sure that if you have any questions to ask me, you're free to ask me. Do you have any specific questions about today's session?
No, sir. No, sir. I
So
don't have any
tomorrow
question.
you make
Okay.
a presentation on
Yes, sir,
how
definitely.
to start a
Okay,
presentation.
sir.
What are the various
Okay.
ways of starting a presentation? Okay,
Only starting.
only
Okay,
starting
sir.
and ending
Okay.
day after tomorrow. How to end a
Okay.
presentation? Okay,
Okay, sir.
what are
I'll
the
take some
various techniques of
inspiration.
starting a presentation? Tomorrow you're going to make a presentation on that.
Okay, sir. Sure,
Okay,
sir.
right. See you. Have a
Okay.
great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Friends, this is the end of this particular session. If you're interested to know more about me, visit me at www.manglaprataban.com. Also visit me at www.thinksmarttoday.com. Call us at 9600954822. Bye bye. See you.